Players frequently ask me about unpowered decks to play at Eternal Weekend, and Mono Red Prison Stompy is one of my go-to answers. I want to play it today with the Black Lotus to show you how it might interact with a Lurrus metagame. All right, welcome back, vintage gamers, to an off-stream recording. This will probably air, maybe Monday after the Oklahoma land run. I need to stock up some videos so I have content for you while I fly around the world playing card games. So yeah, we're gonna play something that's close to playable, I would say, in Mono Red Prison, Mono Red Stompy. This is a big deck in Legacy that sometimes sees some play in Vintage. It is similar to Mono White Initiative in that you are looking to play some kind of disruptive piece, Chalice, Null Rod, Vexing Bauble, Blood Moon, Magus of the Moon, Trinisphere, Karn on turn 1, and then follow it up with a fast and efficient threat. You do now have to play some amount of creature removal with frogs and initiative existing in the format. So we have a bit of that here. This is going to be pretty similar to the shell in Legacy. I use that as a base. I've taken some inspiration from different Mono Red Prison lists I've seen in Vintage, and we come up with, I think, a pretty reasonable shell. The only issue we might run into is that Legacy decks don't typically play the Null Rod in the main. They're usually playing like the One Ring. I think you need the Null Rod in the main in Vintage to have an efficient turn 1, turn off combo. And so you think you have to play Null Rod, but it does pair pretty poorly into Chrome Mox, is my number one concern with the way this deck is built. I do have 6 Blood Moon effects in Magus and Blood Moon. I am going to play 6 removal creatures in Fury and Pyrogoyf. I guess maybe you could say 10 if you count Broadside Bombardier. I love Broadside Bombardier, super reach. Not the spell, not the keyword reach, but in terms of doing damage to your opponent. And then Caves of the Chaos Adventurer at the top end as another big threat to finish the game. I'm going to try out 2 new cards in this video. Avalanche of Sector 7. So this is a Final Fantasy Commander card. So a star 3 menace. Avalanche of Sector 7's power is equal to the number of artifacts your opponents control. So scaling power based on your opponent's artifacts. And then whenever an opponent activates an ability or artifact they control, this creature deals 1 damage to that player. So that's even for tapping mana. So every time an opponent uses a Mox, you get a little extra damage. My assumption is this card is not actually good, but if there's any place for it to be good, Vintage is certainly the place it will be. So I put 2 in here. It is a legend. I can't have multiple of them in play. So I'm going to run with 2 and see if we ever have any sweet spots come up where this actually is very threatening to my opponent. And 3 is, of course, the right number here. You want your threats to be playable off of Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, plus Moxen. I am a little concerned, actually, for like Caves. I think this is like a bit too many 4-drops, but maybe we can get away with it. The 4-drops and the Chrome Moxes are the things I'm the most concerned with. Sideboard, I just have a big pile. I didn't bother with like a Karn board. I'm going to instead have a bunch of Disruptor Flutes, which I want to test as a way of letting these non-blue decks interact with combo. I've been very impressed with Disruptor Flute out of like a Rager Shop sideboard. So we're going to try Disruptor Flutes. I think this is too many Pyroblasts, is my gut instinct, but we'll try Pyroblast as our other anti-blue card. It'll be nice to have a 1-mana spell that kills a frog. And then I'm going to use Unchained Berserkers, pro-white 1/1 that gets +2/+0 as long as it's attacking, as a way to break open the mono-white matchup for ley lines for Dredge. I have reasonably high expectations for this deck. I think it'll do pretty well. It's an option that people should consider if they want to play Eternal Weekend and don't have power. You don't lose too many cards for not having power here, Lotus Ruby, and you can kind of get away with it by having bunches of Chrome Mox and Spirit Guides as ways to accelerate your cards out. That being said, I did just find out yesterday that Chrome Mox is like an $100 card, so I don't keep track of Magic cards' prices, but sometimes they still come around and amaze me. Either way, I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you in round 1. I'll be a special guest at the Steel City Spectacular August 14th through 17th in Pittsburgh. This CEDH main event will also feature a legacy battle for duels and a vintage battle for a Black Lotus. 15 proxy vintage with a Black Lotus as the main prize. I hope to see you at these amazing Eternal Magic the Gathering events. Let's battle. All right, welcome to round 1 of this vintage league with mono red prison, mono red stompy, whatever you want to call it. I'm actually reasonably excited for this. Let's see what we can put together. A Lurrus was revealed from our opponent, so this hand is extremely good against Lurrus PO with no rod. That if it gets countered, I can then play Karn. It's probably not as good against Lurrus Frog. I did remove my Karn board, so I don't really have great things to go searching for, but Disruptor Flute can be good against basically any deck, so maybe it won't be a huge issue. I'm going to keep this hand on the play. I do have the ability to play this Fable next turn no matter what, so that's nice. I'm going to go with Ruby lead. Don't show them the mountain, and then I'll go mountain null rod. See if that resolves. I would assume this resolves if they're on Frog and doesn't resolve if they're on PO, but they could also be on PO or Frog with no force. Here's a Meticulous Archive. It doesn't exactly tell us whether they are on Frog or PO. PO. Okay, so we have a turn 1 Null Rod against PO into a turn 2 Fable, and then maybe a Karn. I'm definitely going to accelerate here with City. Getting a Fable into play as soon as possible would be very good. A little bit of a non-bow here that the treasure tokens we make with the Goblin aren't able to be activated through Null Rod, but I don't think that's a huge issue. Main, we need to be looking for Flames of Anor that kills Null Rod, sometimes main deck Portable Hole. Broadside Bombardier, that's a great one. I don't really want to discard any of my lands because I'm going to need them to cast my spells. That being said, I can probably... I don't think I'm getting rid of any cards because I think this turn I'm going to play Mountain, losing my city, and play Karn. And then next turn I'm going to play Shattering Smashing and play a Broadside Bombardier. So I guess I'm not going to get rid of any cards, which is a bad sign for my opponent, obviously. I should probably attack first because I am going to play this Karn no matter what. Getting Karn into play would be extreme cover for us. That would require them to play the main deck Chain that I sometimes play, or have some creatures to attack it. It would be a very big deal. So I definitely want to see if we can get this Karn in. I don't think the Bombardiers is streaming up the clock too much, so speeding up the clock, streaming up the clock. All right, I will play a Karn. Does that resolve? That one also resolves. I'm just gonna plus on nothing. If I want, I can always get a Disruptor Flute and like make Flame of Anor cost more. Something to consider. Probably won't. Now Flame of Anor isn't that big of a deal because I have the Karn, so the Null Rod dying wouldn't even matter very much. Maybe I could even fling the Null Rod to our Broadside Bombardiers at some point here. All right, Flame of Anor killing the Null Rod. So now they need to have a Chain to bounce the Karn, which seems unlikely. And also, I can use my Ruby now. Okay, they're off it. I mean, this is a very big example of multiple things. One, how good Null Rod and Karn effects are against PO. 2, how good Flame of Anor is at dealing with Null Rods, even in the main. But yeah, Karn is just a night lights out. And also, a big reason why I like to play the Chain of Vapor. I think the Chain of Vapor gives you some serious game against these Karns that are hard to deal with. Maybe a slightly early concession from my opponent, but if they don't think they're going to be able to play through this Karn, then they can't play through the Karn. So this is another example of why I think you must play your Null Rods in this deck. Let's see. I would like Pyroblast. I think Pyroblast sounds very good here. And then I don't actually think I want to bring in Disruptor Flute. I think that's more for things like Doomsday. Is my goal. It's like Doomsday and obviously Bazaar. But I have some room here to take out things like Fury. And then I actually don't mind the Moons. I don't mind the Vexing Bauble, even on the draw. So probably just trim on the all creature removal. I'll leave in some Pyroglyphs as a top end, but let's bring in some Pyroblast to help us buy time. We do have the red Force of Will in Simian Spirit Guide Pyroblast as well. So I don't know. I actually think this deck has a lot of game. Let's see how it looks over the course of the league. This is a hand that I think you need a mulligan. Doesn't have any disruptive elements. This is a hand that doesn't play a turn 1 disruptive element, so I also want to mulligan this one. And then this is a hand that does play a turn 1 disruptive element. I think I get rid of the Karn because it costs too much in a redundant Blood Moon. This is not a good hand because we don't have follow-ups, but it is at least something. My opponent probably bringing in Portable Holes and Seals of Cleansing and things and Swords of Plowshares, so they probably have tons of cards to bring in. They didn't play any Mox. I might not Simian Spirit Guide a Null Rod here, just because it leaves me with no mana, and they didn't play any mana, so I think it's a little bit of a risk, obviously, but I think there's some value in not going for it here. This way, if I draw another 1 mana land, I can at least play a 3-drop. Also worth noting that we did add the Urza Saga back into the deck. So the Urza Saga rule change means that you can keep an infinite artifact producing land with the Blood Moon. So not a huge thing, doesn't come up in Vintage very often, but huge deal in Legacy and Modern. Mox. I didn't want Mox. I kind of wanted an Ancient Tomb, to be honest with you. All right, I think it's time. Opponent got a Soul Ring off of this Thunder Trap Trainer, so let's make him have a Force or a Portable Hole or a Flame. All of those things will just win the game on the spot, so we had to mulligan pretty deep and did not have a very strong hand. Yeah, Portable Hole, Soul Ring. Now their Mox Opal is turned on, PO is turned on. We're basically just lost. Stock up. Wizard. Stock up. I don't know. I guess a land and another Null Rod would be pretty okay here, but we do still need to be an Urza Saga. Can't kill it with my Blood Moon anymore. We did draw the city. I could permanently make it a mountain that's not doing constructs because it's not to 2 yet. I think the best play here is simply another Null Rod, though. This was the only draw I wasn't going to concede on. Okay, now I will concede. I don't think there's any way to come back from that. I think my opponent probably had the Force the whole time and just like, I don't need to use it, which was fair. They didn't. All right, back on the play, though. Being on the play for game 3 is a huge deal. Let's see what we can do. Did win the die roll in this match. All right, all right, all right. I actually don't mind this hand, but it's not. I would not consider it to be good. I think this is a good enough hand versus PO. I feel like a Pyroblast is disruptive enough. And maybe it's not. Maybe I just need to have a Null Rod effect. I don't know. I really just don't mind the hand. I think it's okay. Saga Gaming. And Mana Crypt. And Soul Ring. I think we're dead. And Mox Opal. Yeah. And stock up. All right, well, at least we got that going for us. But I definitely wish we had a Null Rod. Chrome Mox. That's a card we can pitch to Fable at least. Go Ancient Tomb. And let's get a Soul Ring in play. And get a Fable going. I don't know if we live a turn, though, is the problem. If we just simply don't have a Null Rod, then opponent can just PO and win. So the power of PO is these restricted artifact mana. Don't know. I mean, I probably should have mulliganed my hand is the correct answer. I felt like it was good against. It was pretty good. Like I think my hand was good against if my opponent had their game 2 hand, but against this hand, it's just not very good. Brainstorm, fetch land, PO mana. So bad for me. Oh, portable hole. That's not too big a deal. It's just hitting the shaman. Then we're gonna make constructs. I'm like not very good against constructs either. I don't have like destroy artifact cards. Oh, they're gonna hit the soul ring. I guess I can't really attack with the shaman anyways. I also can't like stop this saga because I don't have. Blood Moon doesn't work anymore. All right, I will discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. Discard City of Traders and Chrome Mox and see where we go. Looking for some help. Destroy target land. All right. Well, I can limit it to 1 large monster. I will destroy this Urza Saga. Stopping them from getting a Lotus for their, or even like a Vexing Bauble or something is pretty reasonable. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. All right, so I can get in there too if I want. Yep. I can't throw anything. I guess I can throw the treasure token. It's kind of cool. That's a nice little combo. All right, I have to hope they don't have any payoffs. Even just Lurrus's. I guess Lurrus isn't too bad against... Broadside Vomiter is pretty good against Lurrus. I have to race 1 construct. Might be doable. Again, I just can't have them hit stock up or PO. Or 4th Erlingas. So... But if they miss on action, then we got chances. That does not look like we're missing on action. Unless it's buying Lurrus. No, it looks like a PO to me. Oh, kicking a Thunder Trap Trainer. That's probably also lethal, yes. There's so much action in PO now. Only I miss on action. I don't know. That was a pretty good match. We did pretty well for ourselves. I do think this was a little unfortunate, but I might have been supposed to mulligan my hand anyways. So they didn't technically hit the action here. They hit Mox and Time Walk. So there's still a chance. Though we might just die to Construct. I take 7 and I go to 9. I do just die to Construct. Okay, well. I take exactly 9 and die to Construct, so... Urza Saga wins another one. 7 artifacts in play is a lot of artifacts. I don't think I was ever holding back for Time Walk, though, so... Not much I was gonna do. Maybe they miss it. That's all you can do at this point. Nope. Alright, we've been defeated. Alright, we had a pretty close round 1 set. Let's see what we can do in round 2. This time we lost the die roll against Lurrus. See if it's a Frog, see if it's PO, Breach, Deathrite Shaman's showing up a little bit now. I'm going to... I have to remember that this is a land. I hope I didn't mess up any of my other mulligans because I forgot this is a land. But it is, in fact, a land. Kind of looks like it's part of the same picture as this Pyroglyph. It's kind of cool. I'm going to mulligan. I'm going to mulligan again. Yeah, I'll keep that one. It's not very good, but... So... I'm going to get rid of the Magus, and I'm going to get rid of the Pyroglyph. And I'm going to play the 2 cards and hope my opponent is on Frog and not PO. If they're on PO, I'm going to die. But if they're on Frog, I at least have game. You want some very different cards for the fair matchup versus the unfair matchup. And I think that's a really nice and easy indicator of why I think grouping decks together as Lurrus is problematic, because the Frog, Wasteland Tempo deck, and the PO combo control deck are so different. They are just the most different Magic decks can be in the same color. And the cards you want for each deck are completely different. I need Null Rods and Chalices and Vexing Baubles for PO. And against Frog, I want to have like the most value-oriented threats. So we'll see what comes. Brainstorm is not an indicator. Neither is Sapphire or Probe. Fetch land, and these are both on color Moxen for Frog, so those are not indicators either. If it was like an emerald, then it's more of an indicator. All right. My opponent knows my opening hand, so I will go Ancient Tomb and Chrome Mox and see if they counter Chrome Mox. This plays around, I guess it doesn't play around Spell Pierce, but definitely no reason to play Magus of the Moon when my opponent can make blue and white mana off of their Moxen, so we'll see if we get Spell Pierce. It's really bad for us, but I don't have other options. Maybe I could have led with Chrome Mox and tried to get that Spell Pierced. That might have been a better play. Stock Up. Okay, Stock Up is not exactly an indicator because you can play Stock Up in Frog, but you don't typically. So this might be a more combo-oriented deck. They still chose to hit the Fable, though, which is not really a card I would counter as the combo player. I would much rather cast Stock Up on my turn, but they had a second Stock Up, so that definitely makes me think we're up against PO. So 2 PO matchups to start. PO is a deck that, as of the recording of this video, I just did my weekly metagame report, and I decided to do it as a video this time. So I have 23 minutes of metagame musings for my Patreons at the $5 tier. If you're ever interested in that kind of content, I highly recommend going over there. $5 a month gets you 4 weekly metagame reports, and you can go back and look at all the other ones too if you have interest in that. And I basically usually do like a small written stream of thought write up every week on what I think you should be playing, how I think the metagame is moving, that kind of thing. People seem to really like those. I think they could probably use a little bit of polish, but there's some charm to them being a bit more stream of consciousness. And I think they're pretty useful because it's the kind of thing I would do normally to prep for tournaments anyways, and it forces me to do it week to week. So I'm keeping very in touch with the data of what's going on in the format, how things are moving. This has to resolve or I'm in trouble. But my opponent did counter a Fable, so I have high hopes. No, force pitching Fluster. So they have 1 card left, and we have 1 card left, and ours is a land. So I can't imagine we're in a good spot. They have nothing to bring back with a Lurrus, and they can't actually cast a Lurrus, so that's good. But yeah, I just talked for a week. Just talked about the last week of data, and Lurrus PO is struggling. And this week and the last week, Jesus, they have a Black Lotus Demonic Tutor. Yeah, well. Oh, Breach. Okay. Again, a completely different combo-oriented deck that happens to play Lurrus. Like, we're dead here. That's 1 card Demonic Tutor combo, right? Black Lotus. I guess it was 2 card this time, but this is just 2 Demonic Tutors into a Brain Freeze and then lethal. Yeah. This is the this is the big advertisement for Demonic Tutor. Demonic Tutor is so good in this Breach deck. I think this is a deck that's pretty underplayed right now. It's probably a deck that fares reasonably well into other Lurrus decks. I think this deck's probably good against Lurrus Frog. It's probably reasonably good against Lurrus PO as well. Oh, it's a PO. Ooh, okay. I'm glad we stuck this out. This is a Grixis Lurrus PO Breach deck. So my opponent has POs in their deck still, but they also have Breach and Brain Freeze. Very cool. There's a repeal here. I love this. There's tons of room to play around inside of the blue decks in Vintage. All right. He's trying to get me to concede without showing. Can I? Yeah, I guess they have enough to kill me without showing anything else. Okay. So Grixis Breach PO. We want to want a lot of the same cards. The question is, do I want to bring in Leyline here? I don't like that very much. I will bring in Cage, and I'll bring in Blast, because I think these Pyroglyphs and Furies are really bad. And then I'm going to bring in 1 Leyline. Really get them. Definitely a little bit of a different Axie, but still pretty similar to the first deck we played against. I think it's so cool that you know, before Lurrus, these would still be 3 different decks, right? You still have Wasteland Tempo, Breach combo, and PO combo. They would just be the same decks, but they would be playing Tinker instead of Lurrus. People just hate cats, I think. All right. So I don't think you want to overboard on ley lines versus this deck because it has so many other paths to victory. We saw a Manifold Key in their graveyard, so they have Time Vault Key, they have Urza's Saga, they have Lurrus, they have PO, and they have Breach, bringing in things like, ley line and like all 4 ley lines would be a huge overboard in my opinion. You're hitting just Lurrus and Breach. But I'm bringing in some is okay. Here, I actually am not sure if we're supposed to keep this hand or not. Too many Magus. But turn 1 Null Rod is turn 1 Null Rod. What is the number of red sources we have? Very low, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. It's very low. This is probably a mulligan, which is pretty sad, but... maybe you can keep that and just try to jam. This one I can actually keep. I think turn 1 Vexing Bubble is good enough. And then hitting any land is good. So let's keep this and bottom. I guess the Trinisphere is better than one of these. I don't know if a Moon or a Magus is better. Probably a... kind of depends on if they have removal. Maybe I'll take the Blood Moon instead. This hand is a little risky as well, but at least it can take any land and not just one kind of land. This is going to be a Shatter Skull into a Bobble. You have a Force. Bobble is actually even better against Lurrus Breach than it is against Lurrus PO, because it's very good against the Breach combo that needs to use Lotus Petal or Black Lotus to combo off. Ancestral Recall, up to 9 cards. You're going to discard to hand size? Kind of bold. I might have done that on my turn. We'll see what kind of cards are discarded. Maybe they're just going to discard a bunch of artifacts. Maybe it's okay to discard cards because you're looking to Breach. Flusterstorm. Interesting, they kept in Flusterstorm. And Mishra's Bauble. Land? Simian Spear Guide is like a land. I'm going to hold because I still think I want to get a 3-drop in play over a Null Rod in this spot. A Null Rod is already kind of covered by this Bauble unless my opponent plays a Mana Vault or a Soul Ring. If they do that, then I see more reason to play the Null Rod out, but... Brainstorm... Can't really F6 because in case my opponent plays like a removal spell on this Bauble, I want to be able to draw a card. That's another thing I gain by holding up. And Null Rod would obviously turn off our Bauble completely. The ability to crack it. I assume I'm never going to crack this unless they destroy it. So my opponent's probably looking very hard for lands. They found one. They probably don't have a lot of good ways to remove this though. So we'll see how they play through it. They can definitely play through it, but it's a little harder than playing traditional PO with its portable holes and stuff. So here's the Mana Vault. So if I don't draw a land this turn, I will go for the Null Rod. I drew a Simian Spirit Guide. Unfortunately, this Mana Vault also means my Trinisphere is not very good. This Blood Moon is probably not that good because I do have the basic island that they searched for. I think this means I am just going to play the Null Rod. All right, so that's back off. The Blood Moon will make it very basically impossible then for them to cast Lurrus though. So if they go like fetch land, Underground Sea, buy a Lurrus here, then it's a really good turn for me to draw a land and play a Blood Moon and turn off their non-islands. This one does not play Lurrus. Stock up. Okay. All right. They haven't forced anything so far. I assume after stock up they might have force. I really would like to see Ancient Tomb or City of Traders on our side so that we can get to 3 without using a Spirit Guide. And then just start dropping 3-drops. I'd like to probably get Blood Moon and then Fable. I think Trinisphere might be past the point of usefulness, especially if my opponent's playing 3-drop spells anyways. Let's see. I'm looking for a land, though. Nice. City of Traders. All right, I'm going to drop this Blood Moon. Obviously, it turns off our City of Traders, but I think it's at its best right now. It's just going to get worse as we go on. All right, so now they have 2 mountains and an island, so they can't use black spells. They can't go for Demonic Tutor. They can't play Lurrus, especially if they has a Null Rod and a Blood Moon play. They're never going to have double Swamp, so they're never going to be able to play Lurrus. So now they really need to remove some of these cards. Very hard to remove a Blood Moon unless they have Chain of Vapor. It's more likely they'll have many ways to remove artifacts. We do still have our Spirit Guide to play a Fable next turn, so. But this has historically been a pretty good combination of hate pieces versus combo in Vintage. So we'll see how that fares. Obviously, they still have the ability to cast stock ups. They're just going to use their island to play Sensei's Top. That might have been a mistake. You kind of want to keep open the blue. Another mountain. Good timing. Maybe another artifact. Time Vault. I mean, if they have removal for artifacts, they can easily remove Null Rod and kill us with Vault Key. I'm going to play another Null Rod. I think that's better than playing a Fable here. Going to insulate us a little bit more. I don't know what my opponent's plan is going to be, but they probably have a plan. Let's see. This is a cool one. I haven't gotten my threat down, which has been unfortunate, but from my starting hand, I didn't really expect to have a threat. Okay, an island cycle, but if you don't have another basic island that doesn't really do anything besides give you another red mana. Even if they had another basic island, what's that really doing? Making blue spells count, but what blue spells do you even have? Maybe Lorien Revealed, maybe Dig Through Time, maybe Mana Drain. They're off it. Okay. They took a nice little search through their deck to see if they could beat this combination, and they decided they cannot. They probably just didn't board in the right cards to beat that kind of thing, so maybe now they'll bring in things like Shattering Spree, or a Braid, or Byforce, that kind of thing. All right, so got the game 2 win. Very good. Let's see if we can do in game 3. Okay, what do we have? I have a full mana hand with Null Rods and Blood Moons. A full artifact mana hand. I mean, I assume I have to keep this, but obviously there's a lot of problems with this hand. I do need to draw lands, I do need to draw threats, but I can't imagine I'm allowed to put away this kind of hand. This is a basic island search. Very nice. Lorien Reveal getting basic island is very good against Blood Moon. I wonder why I have White Border Blood Moon. Just to rub it in. Time Walk. Uh-oh. I might not get a turn here. They're a little low on cards. Oh, never mind. Ancestral Recall. That's a good one. I assume I'm just dead is what I assume. Stock up. Well, we're going to find out together. I think my best thing I can draw is... I have no idea what my best thing I can draw is. Probably a land. An Ancient Tomb, maybe? An Ancient Tomb will give me 8 mana to use this turn, so I can use both Blood Moons and a Null Rod. Well, now they know my hand, so now they know what to counter. And a Mox. And another Null Rod. Okay. Ruby. I don't think they're gonna hit my mana, but they could, because I do have so many threats. They could like hit the Mana Crypt, hit the Black Lotus. 2 forces. Stop me in my tracks. Alright, I'm just going to crack this and see what they think about Null Rod. Force. Second Null Rod. I think Null Rod's better here than Blood Moon. Second Force. The Null Rod they don't know about. All right, well. still pretty good if they have like they go land breach, ancestral. I need to hit lands before I can play any more spells, but maybe this will buy me enough time. I also have to not die to my mana crypt, obviously. That's a hard one. Did not draw lands. I don't know. If I had drawn a land there, I would have been able to finish it up with a Blood Moon, and I would have kept my mana crypts in play, but I did not, so I think it was still better with my opponent being PO and Breach and all. Gotta win crypt flips, and I gotta find lands. That's a saga. Oh, was I not allowed to play that? I don't know. Getting a Vexing Bauble is not bad. I probably wasn't allowed to play this. Well, maybe I'll just draw an Ancient Tomb. Maybe it'll be fine. Oh my god, it's so illegal. It's so illegal! I'm cheating. That's so good. I don't know if I made a real play there, but I might win the game. Oh, I probably am not allowed to play that Urza Saga, and I did anyways. We'll just act like I had the city in my hand the whole time. All right. A little bit of scamming happening here. All right, here we go. 1-1 now. What kind of deck will we choose here? Uh-oh. Looks like another cat. Another cat. It'd be pretty cool if we could play against Frog, because then we'll run the whole gauntlet. I'm not sure this hand is good, but I think it's not a mulligan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bait maybe a Wasteland by playing it this way. And see how that changes things. Underground Sea. Thoughtseize. Okay, so this could be a fair deck. And we're very Thoughtseize proof. Magus could be very good against my opponent if it resolves. This could also be a combo deck too. One Magus gone. This thing gets a basic though, right? It's kind of annoying. Doesn't really work the way you want it to. All right. Well, we turned off their Underground Sea. Could be really strong against Esper. They're off it. Wow. No resilience. So I would suspect my opponent is on a fair deck based on Thoughtseize and conceding to Blood Moon. I would not think they're doing PO stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 4 Null Rods out. I'm going to bring the 4 Blasts in. And then I still think you want the Bauble on the... because it can help you push through your spells. And I think Chalice on 1 looks pretty good, even though we're bringing in Pyros. So I think I do this quick Null Rod Pyro swap. We could theoretically bring in Berserker if they're on... If we see that they're on swords, we can bring in Berserker. Maybe for a Karn or something. All right. So I assume this is our fair Lurrus deck. So 3 different decks, 3 different cats. The blue-black has a basic island and a basic swamp. And the Esper version just has a basic island usually. It's hard to say if my opponent was actually locked out or they just didn't want to play anymore, which is totally a thing. This hand looks pretty reasonable versus fair Lurrus. This card is quite good against the card Lurrus. Not that good against... It's good against Bowmaster a little bit. It's good against... it's not that good against Frog. It's hard to kill a Frog. Tundra. All right, so definitely Esper. I might try to bait a counterspell with this Chrome Mox and then put nothing on it. But I could just put the Spirit Guide on it. It's not that big a deal. Kind of does the same thing. All right, I think I'll just put the Spirit Guide on it. Might as well have a permanent mana, right? I can play both Broadside Bombardiers here. I will go... If I get Spell Pierce, is that bad for me? So if I play this, and I play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can still play both Bombardiers. I want to show Saga last, but I also don't want to get Spell Pierce for no reason. So I think I'm going to play Saga, and then I'm going to play Lotus, and then I'll play Soul Ring. You should play around on Spell Pierce. There's no reason to play into Spell Pierce besides the Chrome Mock, which I didn't care if it got countered or not, because I still had the Spirit Guide, so. And then I'll play a Soul Ring. Mental Misstep would be a little annoying here. And then I'll play a Bombardier. Not going to be throwing anything this turn. All right, 1 Force pitching Psychic Frog. Okay, so we know what's going on there. I'll run into Daze, though. Second Bombardier. All right. And then we have Saga backup plan, so not a bad opener versus Fair Lurrus. Like, but you can see here, like, huge difference. What cards do I want against Fair Lurrus? I want turn 1 threats. Against Unfair Lurrus, I want turn 1 lock pieces. Very good. All right, we're in there to win. In there to win, Dad. Okay. All right, have the Wasteland for Saga. That's very good. If they have a Swords for my Bombardier, I'm pretty in trouble. Let's get in there. They're gonna Swords it. This Spirit Guide represents 5 damage on a throw. Don't know if I'm supposed to play. I should probably play around with Drawing Daze. So now I can get in 2 damage for an attack and throw it for 5 damage. So 7 damage and 9 damage. We're 2 turns. I think we're 2 turns away from lethal. That doesn't really hit anything right now, but I'll hold on to it just in case it does. They still feel like they have a Swords. They could have a Bowmaster here, but we do have Broadside throwing something. So here's a Bowmaster. What are they going to ping? They're going to ping the Spirit Guide. Okay, and then what are they going to do? Just 1 tap block that Spirit Guide. We probably just let that happen. I mean, no, I think I'm going to throw the Spirit Guide at them, because I could always... Oh, I can't cast the Scatter Skull Smashing because I don't have double red. Huh. So do I let the Spirit Guide die? I could get Twistered. Land Twister. I don't know. I think I'm going to let it die. And pass. If I get Twistered, I get Twistered. I feel like letting it die is like the long-term best play. I got Twistered. Oh, Prismatic ending 3 colors. Very nice. All right. Glad I didn't try to, like, kill my opponent here. We might have to wait until they play Lurrus before we go Shatter Skull Smashing. I think this is going to give me enough. Dealing X damage divided as you choose. So I need it to be 3, so I need it to be 5. I actually would have had enough without playing the city, so... I should not have played the city, because I'm going to lose it if I play another red land. But I think my plan here is... My opponent has nothing, I have nothing. When I draw red mana, I can use Shatter Skull Smashing to kill the Lurrus and the Bowmaster at the same time, because if I killed the Bowmaster before, he could come back with Lurrus. Actually, a Magus of the Moon would have been a fantastic draw there. They had no fetch lands this game, but they do have the basic Sapphire. Wow, Psychic Frog. All right, I might have to kill the Psychic Frog. I mean, killing these is so bad against Lurrus, but... All right, we just drew another Ancient Tomb anyways. Okay. This is a problem with playing the mono red deck. You don't have draw spells, so you are at the mercy of the top of your deck, and the top of the deck is not being kind to me here. Multiple lands in a row. Not much to say. It is what it is. I wonder, you could theoretically put the One Rings in your sideboard and bring them in whenever you cut the Null Rod. I don't know how good that is, though. But it's something you could do if you really wanted to make like fair matchups a little bit better. Here, they drew for turn, and they're going to get a hit in with Frog. I can't imagine we can ever come back from this, but... Like, they can get Lurrus, and they can buy back Frog if we were to kill Frog. Almost makes me want to have Leyline, but not really. Just got to kill the Lurrus. We have a lot of creatures that remove creatures, so... All right, what do you got for us here? Buy Lurrus? Buy Lurrus. 3 cards in my hand, opponent's hand, including Lurrus. Here's a Magus. This is really good against my opponent's hand if they can't kill it. If they have a white, if they drew Swords to Plowshares this turn, is a problem. I have a problem. But if they didn't, I'm actually pretty well off. All right, let's get this Ancient Tomb into play now. What the city is turned off, and I can't kill both of these right now. Actually, gonna be really hard to kill the frog, considering they're drawing a card every time they hit with it. But at least they're restricted from playing Lurrus and Swords and Push. What they're not restricted from is putting all their stuff into a frog and killing me with a frog. Currently, it's gonna be able to go to 6, maybe even 7. I could go 1, 2, 4 damage to it, but that might not be enough. Pyroblast is my best draw to kill this frog. Oh, they just drew white mana off of Pearl. Yeah, that's a problem. They don't have enough artifacts to like let us continue to play Null Rod, but when they do have the artifacts, that is very good. Definitely don't want to play that. So I guess we play it as a land. So I can do 1, 2. Sorry, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage to this. I can't actually kill it. Wow. All right. All right. I will attack. Maybe incentivize my opponent to drop some cards into this frog. We are in trouble. I don't think we're coming back from this, but we'll try for a little while. I don't think it's a concede angle yet. We have drawn too many lands, though. That's where you really want Fable of the Mirror Breaker to discard your extra lands. But I also kind of needed all my lands in play so I can get the Shatter Skull Smashing to a respectable level. So it's a little here, a little there. This is a spot where like things like Fury look reasonable. Things like Pyrogoyf are pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could put One Rings on the board. I just don't know how much space you really have. I guess the Starter Few is a experimental spot, but it's a little weird because like in the main, in Legacy you play the Ring in the main because it's like the strongest thing you can do with your Ancient Tomb mana. But in Vintage, I think I strongly believe that Null Rod in the main is required. And when you have Null Rod in the main, you don't want to play. You definitely do not want to play the One Ring in the main. That doesn't mean you can't play the One Ring though. 6 cards, 5 cards in my opponent's hand. Another Chrome Mox. That one I'm gonna hold in my hand. I can't imagine we have much of a chance. I can only deal 5 damage to this frog, and they can easily pitch. I just have not drawn enough action spells, sadly. This game did feel like it was possibly winnable, but we opened this game with, what, 2 Broadside Bombardiers in a Saga, and then we drew a Magus, which is not going to cut it on turn 8. I'm feeling a little dead. I'm also feeling hungry as hell. It's not dinner time. Yeah, that much. Gets the basic island. Now they have double blue. Not much I'm doing here. What is this? Oh, hard cast Lorien with a double blue. Nice. Very nice. 7 cards in my opponent's hand. They can actually cast swords off of this. This thing has 1,000,000 toughness if they want to. At some point, I feel like they would start throwing some dead cards into it, but maybe they have no dead cards. There's the swords. All right, well. I'm just going to concede. I don't really want to show him this card. It doesn't actually win. This frog is just going to kill me, so. All right. They do have swords, so maybe this Unchained Berserker. I guess the Unchained Berserker is terrible because it still dies to Bowmaster, so only mono white. All right. On the play. Try again. We had a decent start, but it didn't work out. What can we do with this one? Turn 1, Fable is pretty good. Man. No red mana. That is something that maybe this deck needs more of, more red mana. I don't know. You have spirit guides and stuff. I would love to keep this hand. This hand has all the cards I really want in the matchup. Turn 1 Blood Moon followed by the best threats. But I just don't have the red mana, sadly. This one has the red mana, but it is over 2 turns. I think it has to be a keep. Let's get rid of this Karn. And then hopefully they don't wasteland us. If we don't get wastelanded, we have some threats. Can't be mulliganing too deep. I need as many cards as I can get. All right, what do you got for us? Man, so many Moxen from the deck that does not have very many Moxen. Thoughtseize we're pretty insulated on. I assume they'll just take Fable because, oh, no, they're going to take Magus. So I assume they probably have swords for second Magus. I'm gonna jam Fable here. I guess they could have Spell Pierce. I want Fable. I want to play around the swords. I mean, maybe they had Spell Pierce, and that's why they didn't take Fable. I don't know. For some reason, I read this as swords, but maybe if they're taking Magus, I don't know. Like if they have 1 swords, right, then you want to take Magus and then have a swords up. Not sure. Do they still? I don't even know if they have Spell Pierces in their deck. Thoughtseize is probably a Spell Pierce spot. Oh wow, they have Spell Pierce. Okay, well that went the worst possible it could have gone. Sadly. I don't know. I don't know. The good thing about holding a Magus is that if the Magus resolves, what we can do is next turn we can play Magus and then play the mountain and not lose our city even if they have a sword because of timing windows. So I think this makes the most sense. That was a brutal Spell Pierce though. Basically the worst possible thing that could have happened to us. They have a strip mine. Well, that ruins my plan. Ooh, we can play around their swords there with a second Blood Moon. Second thing that could be Spell Pierce. That's a pretty sick draw. If this resolves, it's very good for us. Turning off this Tundra. However, we do need to draw more lands, unfortunately. We got hit by the strip mine. And then we're going to lose our land to city. Let's see what they got. Oh, they have a cost. Ancestral Recall. All right, well, it's very hard to compete with Ancestral Recall. The good news is we still turned off the Tundra. They do have the option of Bow Mastering. And we have to draw lands. I would definitely not put us as favored from this spot. DT off of Jet. That is the kind of nonsense I expect. Ah, it's so good. It's so good. This is why Blood Moon is not that good in Vintage. Moxen. DT'd for Pearl. Wow. And now they can make 3 different colors of mana and play Prismatic Ending. They can play Lurrus. Wow. So good. That DT for Pearl. Maybe I do need to leave in Null Rod. I don't think so, but we do have a Karn. Nothing to bring back in this Lurrus right now. Get my own Chrome Mox going. I'm gonna lead with Magus, see if they have like a removal for it before I go with the Broadside Bombardiers. Also, I can't throw anything with this Broadside Bombardiers right now. Like if I throw this Chrome Mox, it's a little too bad. If I draw another land next turn, then obviously I don't care about throwing the Chrome Mox. I do want to kill the Lurrus though. Spell Bomb. Interesting they kept in Spell Bomb, but it's a looping card with Lurrus here. I got punished for not playing my Broadside Bombardier. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I was hoping they would Swords this. Hieroglyph. It's going to be really bad to throw my Chrome Mox if I'm trying to play a Hieroglyph. Maybe I'll throw my Magus. Yeah, they just had the Swords the whole time. They just held it. Now they're going to be looping Spell Bombs on me. The good news is they only have one black source, so they can't do it twice in the same turn, but they do have their one black source that lets them loop Spell Bomb through Blood Moon. We can draw a land next turn. Oh, they double Swords. I see. We can draw a land next turn and resolve this Pyroglyph, killing the Lurrus. We might still be in a good spot, but it's looking pretty grim. Now they got their basic island, so now they have 3 colors of mana and Time Walk. Okay, so we're pretty dead. My opponent did a good job of establishing mana through the Blood Moon, but I do feel pretty scammed by this Demonic Tutor off of Jet. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you're supposed to keep Null Rod in against Fair Lurrus. Doesn't sound right to me, but I could be wrong. All right, so they need to not have force, and I need to draw land. All right. This is my last spell that I can try to win the game with. This can only hit opponents' graveyards, right? Oh no, it can hit their own graveyard. Okay, they don't even have to force this. They could just exile their own graveyard. All right, either way, I'm dead. Beaten by the best deck in the format. Three game sets though. All right, here we go. Back for round 4 on the draw. This hand stinks. Mulligan. Maybe we need to go back up to a 4th Chrome Mox. Feels pretty bad with the Null Rods, but maybe it's just necessary. I feel like I'm not drawing hands that really work, which is a pretty big problem, so... Don't know. All right, F6. What can we do? What can we do? Nothing to think about here. My opponent has the clock. I am supposed to entertain people. Sometimes when I don't have a chat, what do I do? What do I say? I mean, I guess this is where, you know, Bosch and Roll and them would just stop saying anything and then cut it out in post with the algorithm, but I'm not used to that and I don't have that set up at the moment, so you gotta just hear me out. Uh-oh. This is another Lurrus? This is another Lurrus. Lotus, go. Last time I played, I think they were on PO. I'm also getting some Daybreak lag at the moment. It's not great. I didn't hit a land. Man, it's hard for me to like this deck when you really need a specific combination of lands and spells. Like, you really need a Spirit Guide, a Chrome Mox, and an Ancient Tomb, and a 3-drop. We haven't gotten to play this Avalanche yet. Is Avalanche the team? How does this work? I don't even know what this means. Man, I wish I could kill this Saga with a Blood Moon. Avalanche of Sector 7. What does that mean? Can anyone give me a background here? Oh, okay. So it is a crew. It's a crew. Sector 7 is one of the sectors of Midgard in Final Fantasy 7. Avalanche. Around some sector notable for the home of an avalanche cell. Okay. I have not played Final Fantasy 7. I probably should, but I haven't. Time Walk Saga. I guess we're just dead to this saga, aren't we? I feel like this Blood Moon change is actually a nerf to my deck, not a buff. Even though it's supposed to be a buff because I can like make my saga permanent. I feel like I'm just dying to my opponent's sagas instead of being able to kill them. So I kind of think it's actually a nerf. Damn, I can't believe that's a nerf. All right, so another fair Lurrus deck. I mean, I can't Blood Moon this thing because it'll be permanent saga token maker now. So, I guess that means we're casting Fable. My opponent is thinking. Are they thinking about breaking something for breaking a Lotus for a Spell Pierce? Are they thinking about hard casting a negation? Or are they thinking about hard casting a Force of Will? It could just be Daybreak lag. Who knows? Who knows? I don't think I can beat 2 Saga tokens. I'm not gonna lie to you. Oh, we just straight up Magic Online crashed. Okay. Well, I will see if I can reconnect to this chat and I will be back. All right, we're back after the crash. It does look like my opponent chose to Spell Pierce my Fable. That's really bad for me. Will they break the Lotus to make a Saga token is the next question, though. No, they chose to hold the Lotus, probably so they can play Lurrus. Are they going to make any Saga tokens? They'll make one. Well, the good news is they're only making one Saga token. The bad news is I still probably can't beat one Saga token. We'll see. All right, just getting extra mana. That doesn't mean they're not buying and playing Lurrus this turn because they made a Saga token, so... I wonder what this means that they're holding the Lotus so hard. It might just be for Lurrus. But you could always not make any Saga tokens and go Lurrus immediately. And they know my hand. Maybe their Lurrus is still weak to Broadside Bombardier. I just did not hit another mana source. This is so painful, man. 5/3 drops and no mana. Maybe they have a Twister and they're trying to set up a Bowmaster kill. Either way, can't imagine I'm winning from this spot. Opponents had a very nice, powerful draw on the play. Hard to come back from. I'd love to continue at least getting towards my all 3-game sets. But I am getting bullied a bit now. Some of these games have felt reasonable, and some of them have just not been close. But I guess that's what you get when you sign up with this deck, right? I did not get twisted, but they're gonna buy and play Lurrus here. I have no real way to stop them from doing mana things. So these Maguses are not great. Oh, they are holding up Hardcast Force, it looks like. Oh, at the least I have a Chrome Mox. They might want to counter this Chrome Mox. I think this Blood Moon is not very good. And I can't throw anything, so I guess we will start with an Avalanche of Sector 7. Woo! I don't think that does anything, but we have one. The thing that I can't just, there's just no, sometimes you have like a lot of things to throw with the broadside bombardiers, and sometimes you just have nothing to throw with the broadside bombardiers. Yeah, hard cast force. All right, rest in peace, Avalanche of Sector 7. You tried your best. Opponent is Looping Lotus. They have a lifelinking Lurrus. They have a Construct and a Bowmaster. It's not a great place to be. What is this? Hardcast Lorien reveal without even returning Lotus? Yikes. They could have gone and gotten the basic island with that. I would be maybe interested in doing that, but they have Lotus, so maybe they don't need to. Maybe they're just looking for a way to deal with broadside bombardiers. Maybe it doesn't matter because I'm just dead on board. I'm pretty dead on board. I'm like very, very dead. I'm so dead. Even if I like play Resolve Bombardier and okay, this is too much. All right. So I will bring out the Null Rods and I will bring in the Pyroblast. Try again. I really don't know. I don't know. We've had a couple pretty solid hands, but I wouldn't say we've had very many like extremely good openers like on the play, Black Lotus, turn 1 Blood Moon, Pyroblast backup. Chalice, turn 1 Magus, Null Rod. We've had a couple strong ones, but I would say we've run a little weak on terms of our draws. I've been mulliganing fairly hard. I wouldn't say I've been mulliganing super hard. We also have like Trinisphere draws we can have. But you do need like we said, a pretty specific balance of mana and threats. And not just mana, but like fast mana and colorful mana. It's really tough. You're asking a lot from your deck just to make a kind of underpowered a kind of underpowered nonsense. Some of these other decks just don't ask very much to be very powerful, right? Workshop, Ancestral. But that's kind of what happens when you do like a synergy-based deck as in comparison to like a good stuff deck. Your combination of cards needs to be very worthwhile to make it so it's worth going to the effort of having the synergy. This deck might need to be reformatted to have a couple destroy artifact effects in the main if it can't Blood Moon Urza Saga away now. It's kind of frustrating. Don't know if there's like... I don't know what the best choice is, but might need to have some. You didn't really need that before because you would just play towards Urza, Blood Moon as your Urza Saga answer. But it is not working out now. I guess you can still play towards it, but you just can't do it on 2, which is, I think, pretty problematic. Man, we've had so many hands that are just like all colorless mana. See, like this hand needs a colorless mana to go with it, but it is our best hand, so I won't complain. I guess I have to put away... I'll put away one mountain. So I still have fast mana, but I don't... I have more options, more things, and I can draw more mana to go off. Another Black Lotus draw. It's not good for me. All right. Oh, I probably should start with this this Unduring Interruption or Eruption or whatever this thing is. I'm gonna get rid of... I'm gonna get rid of Avalanche of Sector 7. I just don't think this card is good. I would rather still have this Pyroblast as an answer to a Frog or something. All right, well, we got to resolve Fable. But yeah, I would definitely say that the Blood Moon Saga change feels like a huge nerf to mono red, not buff. In Vintage, whereas in Legacy, I feel like it's a huge buff. Bowmaster on my upkeep. I guess it's pretty good against Fable. I'm probably not using Fable anyways, though, so. Ah. I want to pitch that so bad, but am I willing to lose my Goblin Shaman? I guess I am. Am I? Probably not. I don't really have anything to talk about. I have to hope these are good. The Bowmaster being good against my one draw spell is very, very, very annoying. Oh, buying and playing Lurrus. Yep. I guess so. Can't do anything about that. I have resolved 0 Pyroglyphs in this endeavor. It's not been very good for me. Oh, Fury would be pretty good too. Hey, look, a Pyroglyph. I guess I'm just like not discarding any cards. Just going to go Chrome Mox and play it. I mean, if I can get Pyroglyph Reflection going, it's pretty strong. I'm just gonna get rid of this Pyroblast and jam. Oh, this thing is not killing a Lurrus. My god. My bad. I didn't realize there was just nothing in any yard. I mean, I still want to resolve it because I want to be able to copy it with Fable the Mirror Breaker, but it is so much worse than I thought it was here. I guess I can, like, kill an Orc army and make my attack better, but it's not very good. I just realized there's absolutely nothing because I didn't discard anything because of the Bowmaster. And they just have cast no spells. All right, well, I will deal 1 damage to this Orc Army token, and then I will attack. Are they just bowmastering, or they have swords? All right, well. Wait a second. If I had attacked the Lurrus and they had done that, it would have actually killed the Lurrus. Last known information. It's kind of crazy. Either way, I'm getting in there, and I'm passing. Making extra goblins is still not bad, but making Pyroglyphs is real strong. Maybe we'll draw some good cards. If they're looping this Bowmaster, I think that's a fine use of their mana for me. So I don't think I'm okay. I think I'm okay with that. This is definitely the kind of hand I want to like be able to play on a grind versus the Lurrus deck. It's theoretically reasonable. They had to sword the Pyro instead of the Reflection. It's this is a place that we can theoretically win from, is my understanding. So see how it goes. Fourth land, Bowmaster from the yard, ping. Oh, that is bad. Ping Kiki means they have 2 Bowmasters. I can't just not attack any turn ever. Yeah, that's so bad though, because now I don't even have the long game. I mean, I have another Fable coming, I guess, but I can't even attack at all now. So I think it's a lifelink. Yeah, it's really bad. I really needed a Pyroglyph to kill this Lurrus. Fury. That's pretty good. And by pretty good, I mean that's nuts. That's crazy. It's unreal. It's the best possible draw, maybe. If this resolves, I think I win. Wow. So I go 2 to this, 1 to this, and 1 to this. And they all die, and I have Reflection Fury, and I can make an attack. Ooh, wait a second. You could have more Furies in our deck, by the way. I chose to play 4 Pyroglyph, 2 Fury, but I could obviously play more Furies. I just think they're like kind of bad against a lot of the format, unfortunately. But even just hard casting as a 3/3 double striker is very strong. So maybe it's a mistake. Maybe I'm supposed to play 4 Fury, 2 Pyroglyph, maybe 3 and 3. Maybe there's some other things you can change. Maybe you're supposed to have 2 Furies in the board that you can bring in. That's very reasonable. Maybe you go down like Disruptor Flutes. Maybe you change your Artifact Kate. I don't know. I really like Fury though. Seems strong. Looks like they traded away their army for a Shaman. They need to have a removal spell for this Reflection or for this Fury, really, because if they don't, I'm going to start making Fury copies, and Fury copies are not very beatable. Also, if I ever resolve a Magus of the Moon, it's so strong right now. Okay, we might actually get our continued game 3s every time. That'd be pretty sick. Though winning on the draw. Don't know about that. Don't know nothing about that. Pretty weak to we're not even that weak to a balance here. Frog. Frog does not live through a Fury at the moment, so they have to have a Swords in their hand right now, or they are in trouble. I mean, I have to go all in on it, but I will. I'll do it. You have Swords? I'm just jamming it. I think I'm just supposed to. Yeah, okay, cool. So they're just dead. They can't even pitch enough cards to save this thing. And then they take about a bajillion damage. I don't know, like, I'm not gonna 100% say that play has no risk and is the best conservative option, but I also think if they had a Swords, they probably were just supposed to Swords the Reflection anyways, so. Alright. I am supposed to play probably the Spirit Guide as another way to get lethal. But I won't be making a Fury copy. Alright, okay. Yeah, I'd love to have an additional 2 Furies, maybe. That's something to think about in terms of deck building. We have not played against any graveyard decks, or any, like, true combo decks. We played against 2 combo decks, but the Lurrus, like, combo control variety. We didn't play against, like, Doomsday or Jewel or something where you really want to maybe have Flute. Flute's pretty good against Jewel because you can name the One Ring and turn off its activated abilities, and you can name the Jewel to make it really hard to cast. But you also have no rods, so. Cage is probably good to have for Saga and Karn. So I think if I were to do anything, I would maybe trim a Pyro and a Flute and play 2 Furies, if that made sense. I guess you could just take 2 Berserkers out for 2 Furies, right? Like, Fury would come in against Mono White. I might do that. I might just take 2 Furies out for 2 Unchained Berserkers, or 2 Unchained Berserkers out for 2 Furies. That'll give me at least another card that comes in against fair decks, which seems a pretty reasonable thing to do. Or, you know, we could just cut this completely useless Final Fantasy card. This has not been very good at all at any point. I probably would rather this card be Lelia, or Caves, or Fury, or some other just generically strong card. His hand's pretty sweet, though. This is one of our better hands. Maybe we can finally make the Infinite Saga that I've been told so much about. All right. I'll just F6. I like this hand. Ruby into Bobble, into maybe Uncounterable Magus. That would be pretty sick. Though it's a little hard to go Uncounterable Magus first if I want to play the Forever Saga. Don't know. We'll have to see what they choose to do. It is kind of up to what looks the best. They can obviously fetch a basic island, but they could also fetch a swords and... So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go City and bait a Pierce on Ruby. And if they Pierce it, or... Oh, wait, I wanted to do it the other way. Well, whatever. Okay, so now I'm going to play a Vexing Bauble, because now this Vexing Bauble can't get Spell Pierced. And then if it resolve... I guess none of this really helps me, because if they have a Spell Pierce, they still Spell Pierce my Blood Moon. If they don't have a Spell Pierce, then they... If they have a Swords, they kill my Magus. I think I'd rather have the Magus happen so that I can play Saga next turn and be able to make an Infinite Saga. Oh, they just fetch black? Is that a Fatal Push then? Okay, they're just gonna fetch and Fatal Push it. Yeah, I don't know. What was I gonna do? This is fine. I think this is fine, because next turn this means I can play... Wait, no, I can't make an Infinite Saga anyways. I don't know what I'm saying, man. I'm wrong. I had to not play Bobble to do the Infinite Saga thing. I mean, I could just... All right, well, now I kind of need to make sure their Saga doesn't go off. Wouldn't it be so good if I could just kill Saga instead? I'm still lamenting. All right, well, I think this resolves. I guess the good news is I get to keep my City of Traders around. But it does mean they get to keep another mountain. All right, so this is now resolving for sure. That's good. Turn off their Saga so we don't die to it. We can play our own Saga. No real reason not to. I guess I have to F6 in case I want to crack Bobble. I don't want to crack Bobble because it means my spells don't get forced. All right, so this is not as good as it was before, but it's still okay. And I guess it means our Saga can be a mountain as well, which is a slight upgrade on this turn than it would normally be, but we didn't really need it because we had a smashing anyways. The good news is I resolved my Blood Moon and I am not dying to their Saga, so... All right. I think I'm in a good spot then. Let's get a Broadside Bombardier in there. Nothing to throw. I mean, I have some things I can throw, but I don't think I want to throw anything yet. This might be enough. Blood Moon is pretty good against my opponent's deck. They didn't fetch a basic island because they wanted to Fatal Push the first one. And so basically Saga not being a fetch land might cost the game. Classic Urza Saga. Always out to kill its player. Ooh, the Pyrogoyf. And they can't counter it. They actually can't do much of anything. I think we've locked them out. So unlike my other fair Lurrus opponent, this opponent did not have the Moxen, and so they don't really have any way to get through this Blood Moon. And the Vexing Bauble is shielding me from force, so... Wow. Yeah, no, I have a Vexing Bauble. Good Chalice check, though. This can go face as well. That's nuts. All right, next turn is lethal, because I can throw the Pyrogoyf. Wow. Wow, all right. So Blood Moon can be good. Just need to avoid Moxen. GG's. All right, 2-2. Okay, here we go. The PO wizard from Italy. What can we do? His hand plays a turn 1 Trinisphere. I'm in. On the draw, though. Sad. This would have been a good dice roller win. Tinker PO. None of that Lurrus nonsense. All right, well, I get to F6. Not a great hand besides the Trinisphere versus PO, but... we call this, do you have a force? Not convinced I need a Chrome Mox. They know my whole hand, so... Ah, am I getting Mental Misstep? Am I getting Spell Pierced? Might be getting Spell Pierced. Oh, I got Mental Misstep. Hard cast Mental Misstep, fetching a basic island. All right, well, I did draw this Chrome Mox, though. I hid this information from my opponent. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this Sundering Eruption. I think I'd rather just have 2 Goyfies. Maybe not. Maybe I'd rather just have the ability to play Goyf next turn. Trinisphere. Got a force as well? Nope. Yep, they had one. Force pitching PO. All right. Had the answer. Two cards in my opponent's hand. Bombardiers. I'm gonna get this in play first. The cool thing about this is I could destroy their basic and they would have no more basic, but I do want to play this Pyrogoyf, so. That is, so like if they have never fetched their basic, I think this thing is kind of bad because it doesn't play well with Blood Moon. But if they've already fetched their basic, it plays really well with Blood Moon because it destroys the basic, and then they can't have to go fetch another one. Looks like they're going to just go for a Tinker. But we did get them to 12 with this Pyrogoyf, so this is not a guaranteed Citadel kill. And then on the next attack, we can go for as many as 4, 10, 12. We can go for lethal. So if this Tinker doesn't work out, and it looks like they played a land, so land off the top is a brick. They have to fetch. They've hit Mox, though. No damage. Here's their first fetch. This is their only fetch land this turn. So if they brick here, they're going to die. They drew a top. So now there's no more bricking. Now it's a life total issue. Hitting a top off your fetch there is so bad for me. So now it's just, can they kill us with the life total they have? Every draw is 1 life. That one's less. 7 is still not a lot, so there are still chances, but could just not be doable. We almost made it through. Very close. Dress down. Does mean the Goyf is not lethal, but the Broadside Bombardiers still will be. Now they have enough to PO out of their hand. Time Vault. Mana Crypt. Mox. They have almost all the Moxen. Looks like a PO. I will concede to a PO. Sad. We almost got there. We did put a lot of pressure on our opponent, but it wasn't enough. Okay. Null Rods stay. Pyroblasts come in. And then I'm going to take out the Pyroglyphs and Furies. I'm going to bring in some Disruptor Flutes. Pyroglyph there did actually do a bunch of damage, which was kind of nice. I'm not actually sure this Disruptor Flute is very good, but I could keep in 2 Pyroglyphs. It's probably slightly better, but that's okay. If we were on the play in that game, I think we had pretty good chances, but on the draw, not so much. Though I guess we would have gotten our Soul Ring Mental Misstep and wouldn't have had enough to play Trinisphere, so maybe it would have been the same tempo. I was pretty happy with that game. Honestly, I was surprised that they played a land and didn't just fetch and tinker. That way they have a land drop to give, but maybe a land drop to give is worse than a shuffle. I don't think it is. Or I don't think a land drop to give is better than a shuffle. I do think a land drop to give is better than shuffle because they could always hit a fetch land as their land drop. I'm not sure. I think I would trend towards holding my land drop even if it meant using a fetch. Either way, we just needed them to fade. We just needed to fade a couple times on the top, and we only faded once, really. They had like Mox. And then they fetched and then immediately hit the Sensei Stomp. What does this hand have? This hand has turn 2 stuff, but I can also play a Disrupting Flute. It's really hard to play a Disrupting Flute on their upkeep, though. It's really hard for this to be good. I guess I can at least name Force. But then what am I doing? Playing a Magus? Is turn 1 Disruptor Flute 2/2 Magus good enough against this deck? I don't think so. I'm gonna mulligan this hand. If it was like a little bit, like if it was a Doomsday, I think Disruptor Flute's a little bit better. But as PO, like what am I naming? Am I naming PO, Tinker, Force? I think Force is the best name, but I also don't want to play City on turn 1. I guess I could maybe get away with playing City on turn 1. But I'm not like following up into a Null Rod. I'm following up into a Blood Moon. I'm going to mulligan this hand and try to find something slightly better. This is definitely what I'm looking for. Yeah. Definitely keeping this and getting rid of the 4-drop. The question is how I want to play this out. Probably just pitch this Broadside Bombardier to the Chrome Mox and then play a Null Rod. Obviously, we still lose a Bombardier, but that's okay. This might just get forced, knowing my opponent. This resolves, and then oh no, it didn't resolve. Force pitching PO. Yep. I don't know. I gave it my old college try, but I'm getting bullied again. Nothing. Where are my turn 1 Null Rods with Pyroblast, Simian Spirit Guide backup? That's what I want to know. Oh, is this Prismatic ending on my Mox? Yikes. Land? Trinisphere. I think I can't strip mine. I think I have to hold. I need to play my spells. Oh, Chalice on 0 is pretty good. They also missed their land drop here, so I don't wasteland now. They also brainstorm locked. So I need to draw some lands. Brainstorm themselves there when you're going to get locked is pretty interesting. But I have not drawn lands. Will my opponent draw land with their first draw? They did. They drew Basic Island with their first draw. Okay, fair enough. Okay. I'd love something good. Ancient Tomb is pretty good. Null Rod. Yeah, I'm not willing to spend my Spirit Guides on a Null Rod right now. We're both going to hand size. Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Dirty. Pro red. I guess Disruptor Flute could have used a name force. Mana Crypt. All right. Well, now I kind of need a Null Rod. A land would really help. Let me protect it. It's not a land. All right. Well, I am going to... Oh, all right. That worked. All right. They didn't have a force. All right. Okay. This game is not over. I was not expecting the Brainstorm lock into Chalice. Sphinx and Bola Citadel. That's very unlucky. We have also just hit no lands. But at least we got a Null Rod in play. Oh, they hit another spell. Now they can DT out of it, maybe? Another land. They can cast some spells. Land? At some point, surely, I will have a land, yeah? Okay, Vampiric Tutor. The good news is we still have Force of Pyro. Force of Blast. Force of Pyro. Tolarian Academy? Could just be Tolarian Academy. Yeah. And they have Tinker. There's nothing to Tinker for. Stock up. I think we just let Stock up go. I really still want to be able to, like, Ancient Tomb play a thing with my Spirit Guide. It's an Ancestral as well. Ponder. Ooh, Ponder and Stock Up. The ancient war of Ponder versus Stock Up. Mana Crypt. I'm dying. I'm gonna get rid of this Trinisphere. There's no point of Trinisphering at this point with my opponent having a Tolarian Academy going. My opponent has demonic tutored for Tolarian Academy before I found land. It's turn 12. I've drawn 0 lands. Yeah. Wait, again? Oh, Vampiric Tutor and Demonic Tutor. I'm just dead, man. I'm so dead. It doesn't even matter. Like, nothing matters, man. Because I'm just dead to this saga. I drew a mountain. Yay. I'm dead. All right. Well, this was a kind of a brutal outing. We went 2-3. We had a lot of close matches, to be fair. I don't know if I can take the swings of this deck. I truly feel that the Blood Moon change was a nerf to this deck in Vintage, whereas it'd be a huge buff to this deck in Modern and Legacy. I would immediately cut these Avalanches of Sector 7, and I would try to find a place to get my 2 Furies into my deck, whether that's the Unchained Berserkers in the sideboard or the Avalanches in the main. Though I would think maybe a Lelia would be pretty reasonable in the main. But that's where I would go with this deck. I do think this deck is still a very reasonable choice for unpowered players at Eternal Weekend. Obviously, you just cut the Black Lotus and Ruby, and you play the 4th Chrome Mox and probably another land, maybe a Soken Zen, maybe another spell land, probably another spell land. And then you have, boom, an unpowered deck that's pretty reasonable. We didn't have that many Black Lotus draws in this game, these sets. We had a couple. But you can very much see how the deck functions without Black Lotus, and these cards all do very powerful things in Vintage besides this Avalanche of Sector 7. And if you mulligan correctly and get a little lucky, I think there's a lot of reason to be happy with your choice if you want to play unpowered Vintage at Eternal Weekend. Hope you enjoyed this video. More content on the YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you then.